Is it good to be selfish?
Yes, if you have the right definition of selfishness.
Okay.
If you look at, we were talking about businessmen being portrayed as greedy and evil. If you look at that as selfish, then, I mean, maybe not. But if you look at selfish as being what is genuinely in your rational interest, then yes. And that does not mean hurting other people. Except in self-defense, it's never in your self-interest to hurt other people. And this gets packaged in. Selfishness gives us this vision of like people stepping over others to get ahead. That's not really selfish because it's not in your self-interest. Another example, people will say drug addicts are being really selfish, but actually they're destroying their lives. So that's not very good for themselves, is it? So if you have an idea of being selfish as putting your genuine rational interests first, things like your health, your career, your healthy relationships, other people can be huge values to us, and if they are, then you want to treat them well. So then you can grow your relationship with them, whether it's business or personal. So if you have a good conception of selfishness, then being selfish is good.
Should we have a war on drugs?
Well, this is a very tricky question because I understand why people believe that the drug war is important. But me, as Colombian, I can see the results of the drug war that Nixon started. And I think the question should be like, the drug war should be focused on combating the drug dealers or combating the health issue. Like, our efforts should be focused on the health issue, why the drugs are bad for your body, for your individual, for you as a person, and no combating the drug dealers, because the drug dealers are always going to exist. The black market is always going to exist. We cannot fight against that, but we can educate people why drugs are bad for your body, for your mental health, for your situation, right? But like the history has shown us why the drug war is not worthy enough the money we put into. And like me as Colombian, I can tell you, like 200,000 people have died just in the armed Colombian conflict war from 95 to 2005. Just in that period of time, 200,000 people died. So, and the drug war didn't end anything. So, is it the drug war like very worth it to continue? I don't think so. I think we should focus our efforts in the health problem and educating people why drugs are not good for you and for your body.
Why is capitalism a moral system?
But capitalism protects individual rights so that everyone is free to act on his or her own judgment as long as they don't stop other people from doing the same thing. And it also rewards people who are productive by giving them, money and access to other things. So it rewards producers, and in that sense is a very just system.
What is the libertarian position on immigration?
Well, this is very tricky to answer, right? Because migrants are humans, so everything related to humans is very tricky to answer. But I consider me as libertarian, the position should be migration is a natural right. And in order to that, we have been seeing that the migrants that are allowed to work in the countries that they arrive integrate faster than the migrants that are not allowed to work. So in the 1920s, 1930s, the migrants that arrived to America, they were allowed to work, and they were just exchanging culture, opinions, ideas with migrants from all the other countries, also with Americans. But now, like for example, in Europe, we see all these welfare policies that are so well, they have such a good intention, but the results of those intentions are these migrants cannot integrate in the culture they are in, and the results are the division of society into like different positions, and so migrants are isolated from the culture that they arrive to. So migrants should be integrated in the society, and they should be allowed to work in the European perspective of seeing this.
Why is freedom important?
Well, as a human being, freedom it's so much important because it defines us, okay? It's part of us. Remember that we can't be anything in real life if we haven't got freedom. You know, it's like a really important concept in our life. And if you don't think so, if you're not agree with me, you have to think more about the real situation related to North Korea. I guess that it's a really good point of view to think about the existence of no freedom for us.
What do you think is the biggest threat to liberty now?
In my opinion, is socialism, because socialism is the cover for the cancel culture, the wokeism, because the socialism appears to talk to your heart as a good cause, as the socialism wants to save you from the poverty, wants to save you for all the bad things in the world. It's like we are pro good things, we are against bad things. It's the basic concept. But in the end, what is happening is your freedom of speech is every day being more restricted, your freedom of thinking, even thinking, writing. People nowadays are like being very challenged to express their opinions like in their own social medias. When people do that, like on Twitter or something, they are cancelled. They can actually lose their jobs. So I think the culture, the cancel culture, the woke culture, I think people are being used. Socialism appears like the solution for everyone, but in fact they are putting people in groups. You have the group A, group B, group C, and in the end, people are fighting against each other. So, in the end, it is tearing us apart instead of getting us united. So, it is very, very important for movements like Lola to show up, open the curtain, and show the people that it's not like that. Sometimes the easy medicine is not the most effective one. So I hope we can bring that to the women all over the world, and especially in our country, Portugal, because it really needs a lot.
Should free speech be important in a free society?
I think it's the most important thing, really, because now we are challenged with free speech all the time, with our work, within our schools, our universities. So we have to be courageous. We cannot be afraid to speak our mind, even though sometimes our mind is not popular. We cannot give in to the mob. Freedom of speech is what brings people apart? No, it's what brings people together. It's what brings morality. It's what brings families. Being afraid to speak out is what is going to tear us all apart. And this is how the government can have a lot of power over us. So I think freedom of speech is the most important thing for sure. Is free speech under attack in the UK?
Free speech is under attack, not just through legislative means such as the Equality Act, the Communications Act, which censor people who have the wrong opinions or offensive opinions, but also on a sort of societal level where individuals feel the need to self-censor themselves, or the community, the society will ostracize them, will go against them. And this can be seen in the gender critical community, where advocates such as Posey Parker or Helen Joyce or Kathleen Stock, all gender critical women or feminists, they've been censored, they've been silenced, they've been kicked out of their institutions. For example, like Kathleen Stock, who was bullied out of her teaching position because she simply believed that a woman is an adult human female. It's absolutely ridiculous. If a society can't even define what gender is, I think we're sort of lost.
We often think that businessmen are evil somehow. What do you think of this misconception?
Well, I think it's completely mistaken as long as the businessmen like Jeff Bezos have earned their wealth honestly, by which I mean they have earned it by producing value and trading with others and not by using force, such as the government supporting them in particular ways. So you saw this in Rand's works. A lot of her heroes are business people, businessmen and businesswomen, who have, through their own thinking and their own efforts, have either created or grown or maintained incredible businesses. And the fundamental reason is that Rand saw a business person as creating a value, as being productive. And without productivity, we cannot live. Human beings cannot survive. Whether you're on a desert island or in the middle of New York, you still depend on production for survival. And businessmen and business people facilitate that, and often in ways that are incredibly interesting and innovative as well. So they really drive living standards for everybody.
Why is free speech important?
Free speech is important because nowadays we have in Latin America, for example, we have a lot of countries that are not free market tendencies. So we have a lot of government that try to make the people live in a socialist, in a more collectivist way of living, and this became more poverty in our countries, and most of all in the Latin American countries. We now can see that the poverty is very high, and that limits our education. So it's very important for us to talk about this thing, to talk about free market and liberalism, mostly to liberate every person that wants to be educated and then want to progress in life.
How can civil societies help to bring free speech more relevant?
I think we cannot be afraid to give our honest opinion on very hard topics. We cannot be afraid to expose ourselves within our communities, because we might be surprised. I think once we start giving our honest opinion, people will relate much more than the how can I put this, giving to the mob when you're not your honest opinion, when it doesn't go with your values just to fit the profile. So civil society has a big part on freedom of speech, as they allow other opinions to be shown in every environment, in the workplace, in the universities, in our families. Anyone is entitled to their opinion, whether we like it or not.
So your comment makes me think that free speech is key to have a free society, and a free society leads us to a prosperous society, right?
For sure. How can we share knowledge without different opinions?
Yeah.
How can we grow without different opinions? This is the way of the world, has been since forever. We cannot stop now. Otherwise, the ones with knowledge are the ones who are going to hold power over us forever.
So knowledge is built in different opinions, which means free speech. And if we want to advance a society, we need free speech to build that society that we want to have.
Yes, we need freedom in general, but of course free speech is the most important thing for us to express the things we research, the things we learn, in order for society to grow and change.